Hello everyone, welcome to our second lesson on histogram. So this is extension 2. In the previous lesson, I just dealt with techniques, only techniques. So today we are going to do the question, although I have done some work just to reduce the time for the video to upload. Okay? So we look at this question. The question required us to fill the gaps. And I had stated that in histogram, you need to know frequency density. So in the small space that is left above the table, you can squeeze the width, which are these ones. Okay? Now that we learned what is frequency density, remember frequency density is frequency divided by width. So we know the width, we know the frequencies, we can get the frequency density. I've just denoted it by F and rho, frequency density. For now, that should work. So you take frequency of 12 divided by width 10. That gives me 1.2. You take frequency 40 divided by 20. That gives me frequency density 2. We take 36 divided by 30 gives me 1.2. You take 8 divided by 10 gives me 0.8. And also 24 divided by 30 gives me 0.8. So learn how to get width, learn how to get what we call frequency density. Frequency density and heights are very closely related. In our scenario, you can see we are getting frequency density 1.2, but the height is 6. And remember, I told you that frequency over width can be multiplied by a factor which will convert the decimals to whole numbers. So which factor has been multiplied by 1.2 to give you 6? You will quickly realize it is 5. In other words, all the frequency densities which happen to be in decimal, except for these two, can be made whole by multiplying by factor 5. Okay? So even the 2 will be multiplied by factor 5. So if you are following what I'm saying, all these figures now, we convert them to whole by a simple multiplication of by 5. So this by 5 is 6, this by 5 is 10, this by 5 is 4, and here it is 4. So remember, first get width because the classes are there. Get the width. Secondly, you compute frequency density. If he has given you height, it is the same thing essentially. The only difference is that one could be in decimal, the other one is whole. So you have seen how I've used factor C in the previous formula. What are we remaining with is area. Area is height times width. So we were given an example here. Width 30 by height 6 gives us 180. So we take width 10 by height, it will give us 60. So we have 60 here. Okay? Remember, area is height times width. So width 20 by that gives us 200. Then we have width 10 by 4 gives us 40, and 30, width 30 by 4 gives us 120. So we have 120. Now table work is complete. Okay? The table work is complete. So what do we do next? We want to draw a histogram. Okay? We want to draw a histogram. Either you will use the heights that are there, which are whole, or you can use frequency density. It will still work. Okay? So height or frequency density goes on the vertical axis. Remember, the x-axis is the upper limit. And since it is overlapping classes, then you take the figures, the upper figures in each class. The upper figure here is 10, here is 30, here is 60, 70, and 100, which will go here. A skill that you need to know from the width, this can dictate your scale. So the scale you will go or use, you jump with 10, the smallest figure of the width, is what facilitates the jumping, so that your scale is uniform. What do I mean? The smallest figure of my width is 10. In other words, I'll have 0, 10, then 20. 10 plus 10, 20. 20 plus 10, 30, and so on. Remember, the smallest figure in the width will facilitate the simple and continuous scale on x-axis. Okay? So you can see there. I've shown there. So the next thing is to shade. I've used different shading so that you understand. So don't do this. Just use a uniform shading. You will have a good pencil which will show the boundaries clearly. But for the sake of learning, I've done this. So our first class is 0 to 10, which you can see here. 0 to 10, and the height is 6. So the height is 6 up to there. Then you shade that part. Then the next bar will be 10 to 30. 10 to 30. Then height 10. The height is 10. From 10 to 30, 10 is here to 30, go up by 10. You shade. The next is 30 to 60. So from 30 to 60, the height is 6. I come up to 6 there. I shade. I've done different shades for you to understand, for you to comprehend things. Then we have our next is 6 to 70. 6 to 70 is 4. So you look at 4 here, there. And then 7 to 100 is that. Okay? Very important. So we have all the marks there. Now let us do what is the core. What I want you to do, I focus down. I want you to focus down there. I want us to find where we shall draw the median line. That is vertical line. So what you do, you use that formula. AT, total area, divided by 2. So let us get the total area, which can be found from even the graph there. You can see 60, 200, 180, 40, and 120, which I've done them here also. This area here, the first bar, represent area 60. Then the next class, 200. Then 180, 40, and 120. These are the areas you add. After adding them, you get 600. So AT, total area, is 600 divided by 2 here. 600 divided by 2 is 300. So you compute quickly in your mind which areas, when I put together, they'll give me 300. The first one is 60. It has to be. It has to be added to 200. That gives me 260. I cannot add it now to 180 because it will overflow. Remember, I want to show where the area equivalent to 300 lies. I want to show where does the area equivalent to 300 lies. So what I do, I write 60 plus 200, those ones will be included because they give me 260. Then I need a small portion of the third bar, this bar. I need only a small portion. I add it to the previous two to give me 300. So this is what you do. The height is already known. This is the third bar, the entire of this third bar. You can see the height is this. So I write here 6 times x, where x will represent a small width we are looking for. So when you compute, you get 6x. This is 300. 300, eh? So 300, you subtract 260, you get 40. So 40 is equal to 6x, meaning that x is equal to 6.6. So you identify 6 units in bar 3. This is bar 1, bar 2, bar 3. We have to identify 6 units. So if you are using a graph paper, so maybe something like this, a graph paper, you have a box like that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3. You have this. You should be able to know 6 units is represented by how many sticks. Okay? That is what you do. 6 units will be represented by how many sticks. So you go back to a 1 by 1 square and interpret the small boxes inside there. So you can do that precisely. You will find if this is 30 and this is 40, the difference is 10. So 6 units must be above 5 there. So we could be drawing something like this. Now you draw broken, 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 broken. Now this is the median. That is the median now. There. Okay. So folks, you can try this again and again. Do one question repeatedly until you grasp the procedures. After that, you go to question 2. You try and see, am I following what the teacher taught? And also be noting them that this is lesson 3. Lesson 3. This is lesson 3. Okay? But it will be extension 2. It will be extension 2. That is how I code them. Lesson 3, extension 2. Bye-bye. Keep on subscribing. Keep on telling your friends that there is something good coming here. If you didn't know, follow. And if you have any question, remember, you can ring. Let me write here. You can ring here 0722 641 201 or Odex Robert at Gmail. Okay? Always remember, you can ring this number or you can comment. You can ask for a lesson to be taught, the area that you do not understand in math and physics. Keep on subscribing. Till then, bye-bye.